All right, welcome back to the afternoon sessions. I'm Stan Hubbard, Principal Analyst at MEF, and I'm happy to be with you this afternoon and to introduce our next panel, which will be moderated by Brian Washburn from Omdia Research. He's the Research Director for Enterprise Service Provider and Wholesale, and the topic of discussion will be the topic is, of course, around Latin America, and this is executive perspectives, accelerating automation between buy and sell partners. So join me in welcoming Brian and the panelists.
Great, well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. If anyone feels free to come on down a little bit further to the front, please feel free to do so, and thank you for sticking with us through the Wednesday afternoon of the MEF conference, MEF GNE. And I'd like to start by again welcoming you to the LATAM Executive Perspectives, Accelerating Automation Between Buy and Sell Partners session. And what I thought is we have in the distinguished panelists a number of different business models and executives from all around Latin America. So I thought it would be best for them each to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about the operators whom they represent. And so I'd like to go ahead and start with Reinier.
Very good, all right. Reinier Huisman, I'm Product Director for Connectivity and Security Services for Liberty Latin America. So we operate cable services in 30 markets in the Caribbean, Central America and South America. And from a central headquarters perspective, we're responsible for the product strategy and product development across the region.
Hello everyone, my name is Jorge Villalobos. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Orchest Technologies. We're known for our Orchest LATAM platform, which basically we automated the entire region from Mexico all the way down to Chile and Argentina, including the Caribbean islands. So we have a unique automated model, and we operate basically in almost every country in the region.
My name is Seaman. I'm representing Tigo. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the group responsible for the wholesale and multinational business.
Good afternoon, my name is Jorge Brites. I'm Senior Manager of Architecture and Innovation and MEF-LSO Program Manager at Cirion Technology. Cirion is born in August last year as a result of the sale of Lumen operation in Latin America. We have more than 30 years of experience, and we provide cloud infrastructure and technology solutions, including fiber networks, cloud to self, co-locations, connectivity, and for example, we can provide cloud on ramps from the 5 big ones that we have in the country, in the region, AWS, Orange, ABM, Azure, and we cover from Mexico to the Antarctica itself. We provide satellite solutions, so that's our business here.
So hello everybody, I am Juan Naranjo. I am Ufinet CTO. Ufinet is a company, it's a carrier of carrier. We are in the wholesale market. We have presence in all Latin America countries, but Bolivia and Venezuela. Most of the time we deliver 100% on-net services using our own network. We have more than 100,000 kilometers of fiber across all the countries. And actually, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I guess perhaps the best place to start, given that the theme here is accelerating automation between buy and sell partners. So we're looking at wholesale transactions, and what I'd like to do is just get an idea of what are your experiences today in working with partners, either domestically inside the Latin America region or with the partners internationally trying to get in and out of the market, and what levels of automation you see today, where are the challenges? Yeah. And why don't we go ahead and start with you, Reinier?
Sure. All right, so it's a very diverse landscape. We see small regional carriers, large regional carriers, global carriers, but satellite operators, content networks, the hyperscalers, they're all part of the customer mix that we have, and it's a constant balancing act between trying to find a scalable, automated way to work and still, as was discussed earlier today, still try to also cater for those one-offs. So it's a balancing act, and I think what we're all here for is to try to offer this diverse landscape of customers an experience that makes it seem as if it's one point of contact and not a whole complicated, conflicted value chain, supply chain behind it. And I think for us, two themes have come up a lot recently, and I think that's about predictability and security. So predictability, we operate in a region that's by nature not so predictable. We have currency fluctuations, we deal with Mother Nature, it's the hurricane season again. So what we can control, we'd like to try to control, and that's where the MEF standardization, both in terms of interconnection as well as in terms of products, can really play a role. Now, and the other item is security. We see occasionally these large breaches in the region that get a lot of attention. We had IFX networks a couple of weeks ago, and that really reverberated through the region. So it comes up more and more in the discussions. It's not just an SLA about reliability, but also, how do you cater for security? So I think those are a couple of themes that we keep on seeing.
From our side, 5 years ago, we were sitting down and saying, we cannot continue operating the way we're doing, in terms of in the relationship between buying and selling. There is a huge gap that is affecting the customer experience, where clients were waiting sometimes months for a quotation. Installation time frame was going all the way to 120 days, and the region is lacking incredibly when it comes to customer experience. So 5 years ago, we started developing what we have today as an automated platform, embracing the MEF, LSO, Sonata APIs, and it's playing a fundamental role to disrupt that issue that we were experiencing before in the region. So we did a whole holistic approach into the business. How can we fix all the issues that we normally face through the customer experience by embracing automation, by becoming a more efficient organization, by removing all the bottlenecks from the business processes, which at the end of the day is the primary goal of any carrier globally. We are all battling with the legacy systems, with all business processes that in reality is a big challenge for service providers. So definitely there is a transformation going on in the region, in Latin America. There is a long way to go. The good news is that we're here in MEF talking about it, embracing automation. Today, actually, we launched the LATAM Executive Council, which is going to precisely address those gaps that we're seeing in the region. How can we improve the customer experience, considering the business practices in the region, so we can standardize our products around our business practices, not following the Europeans or the Asian or the American business practice, but our own and unique way of doing things. So MEF is playing a fundamental role when it comes to that, and today is an important day, for LATAM, because now we're going to have a voice within MEF and the board and everything. So,
Fantastic.
We started the road to automatization, I would say 10 years ago. We created, since then, a customer journey. We were very clear on what the expectations were at the time, and because we have 9 operations with presence in 15 countries in Latin America, the challenge on putting together everything into a single platform that presents a single face to the customer, and that effectively is capable to manage the support teams all over the region, it was a big challenge. At this point of time, we started the process to standardizing everything under the MEF standards. I believe the MEF plays a key role in this arena. And we are deploying actually our first interface MEF standard this week. So we're very proud of this road that we have taken so far.
Great, congratulations. And, all right.
So we were working with the other operators like Service Buyer, I guess more than 3 years ago. We started thinking in this requirement in 2019, taking the experience from North America and EMEA, be part of the previous company. But the problem was, in that moment, we cannot find good options. I mean, there's a few companies in the level to integrate in an API with us. So we started a lot of conversations to try to move in together, those small companies and big middle company size. So in step-by-step progress, we include in this automation process. Fortunately, there is more option today, and the point here is try to be aligning 100% the ecosystem with the LSO framework. So from the buyer side, we starting, for example, with Gold Data, and Tigo was the second one a couple of years ago. And the last one was Telefonica, Ufinet. And the last was, they too are very special because are the first ones that cover multiple countries, because that represents a big challenge for any company that's covered those spaces. This is because they have problems in the process, internal tools, the alignment of all of those stuff. So today we have more than 300 companies interacting with us in different ways. It's not just MEF compliant, but the point is moving constantly in that path. On the other hand, for the seller side, we will complete the implementation of Sonata as a seller role this year with one of the largest wholesale customers that we have. The intention is continue that next year, adding more. And the idea is obviously try to onboarding and leverage the other companies to do the same. As the Moderator was saying, this is the way.
Great.
Yeah, I think that we have to start first internally. You know, you have to start working with in order to automate your internal process, in order to have an homogeneous network. And here, MEF has played a key role in Ufinet in order to have a standard network. So have done that in the last 5 years. Right now, I think that we are ready inside Ufinet. For example, right now, with the commercial area put us an order to the technical area in order to have an upgrade of bandwidth. We can do it within 15 minutes in the 85% of the cases. And as well, we have done that for activation process. We have done it for downgrade of the bandwidth. We are working as well with the maintenance process. Right now, for example, we have an automation and a troubleshooting automated process where when a ticket is put in our ticket program, we can find out within minutes if there is a fiber cut or if there is a power supply failure in the customers, or if there is a LAN cable disconnected. So now that we are ready inside Ufinet, we are ready to go external. And in the last 2 years, we have been working on that. Actually, right now we are certified with the Sonata API. We are start working, in order to integrate with our partners, in order to integrate with other companies. But we have to think that there are going to be some companies that are not going to be willing to use Sonata, or is not going to willing to integrate with you, especially in Latin America. So for those customers, you have to do something in order to actually deliver all that we have done, all that you have done inside Ufinet or inside any company. And actually, right now we are creating this web portal where they can they can open a ticket, and they're going to have this troubleshooting process that I told you. They can do an upgrade of bandwidth within minutes. So we have to think both ways. Some customers that are going to be willing to integrate, and other ones that are not. So I think that's something we have to keep in mind, because in Latin America, definitely we are going to have both customers.
Well, Juan Carlos, this is a great point, because hearing the different perspectives, we hear, both there are months long waits at some points with certain partners. There are lots of Sonata and MEF activities here in this group of distinguished panelists. So there is automation, but it works great when you have partners that are willing to work with you and are willing to adopt the MEF standards. And then you have some workarounds for those that can access your web portal, for instance, to get hold of Ufinet services. But what do you do when there's a partner that, how would you help, or what would you tell a partner who is trying to get to that automation space, but they're just not there at all? As in, they can purchase from you, but what's the convincing message to them to say, look, you really should adopt these MEF principles and APIs inside your organization to make it easier for not just you to buy our services, but for us to acquire yours?
I will say that, something that I have learned from Ufinet experience is that at the end, all the automatization projects pay off. I mean, there is going to be a payback for that project itself. I mean, it's not that you are getting more agility, or it's not that you are going to improve the customer experience. That is actually important because it's going to help you to have more business. But at the end, the project itself, you are going to have saving, you are going to have efficiency. That there is going to be, the project itself is going to be profitable. So it's going to be a payback. So I think that's something that you have to keep in mind, at least at the beginning, in order to convince your company to go for it. Because it's going to be, there is going to be a payback for the project itself.
Yeah. And all right, any advice for companies that need to get onto the MEF API bandwagon, or?
Well, from your experience, for example, if you have to just justify the investment, that's a fact for any company. It's not easy because you're trying to figure out how to put the OPEX, for example, in front of any other payback lags that Juan Carlos mentioned before. But the point is, it's a strategic investment because you are investing in the future. It's not just for 10 years, but it's in a couple of years. So just an advice, for example, if you have to create this business case, first of all, put a period more than 12 months. You have to think in that in 24, 36 months, and include a lot of things that is difficult to translate. You improving KPIs, you improving SP, and the customer experience. So translate this aspect from the business to the numbers is a big challenge. But again, if you have the opportunity to start talking with your partners just to figure out if you maybe increase the number of orders and that represent more revenue directly, this is a good way to resolve this challenge, financial channels internally.
One of the things that we're doing or we're seeing is the lack of knowledge towards automation, not even API. Many of these companies, they don't have a clue what API is. They're not even advanced in systems that they use internally. So one of the approach that we did is that we automated them into our platform. So instead of waiting them to adopt automation, adopt API, the other important point is the data coming from the APIs. Is it reliable data that you're receiving through the APIs? Is it something that you will trust? And the answer is no. Because then you go into the technical feasibility analysis. Is it a budgetary pricing? Is it a firm price? Are you relying on price lists? So what we did is, through our pricing engine, we created a technical feasibility analysis algorithm that basically studies all the networks. When we look for a specific address, the platform basically evaluates different components like access technology, installation time frame, if the fiber is already within the building. And we have done this with 198 carriers already, from small guys from around the region to bigger players. The good thing is that 80% of the carriers that we have been automating are unknown internationally. So we become a vendor management arm of our customers when it comes to using our platform, because instead of bringing Tigo, Ufinet, or Liberty LATAM, we're bringing the guys locally that really have the access into that particular building that the customer is looking for. And probably they're asking for a specific diversity that is probably diverse from the known players. So that's a different approach to the issue. It's a quicker solution. Obviously, it's not sustainable in time because you got to keep updating this network data information in the system, but it's definitely a good solution to take the region into a better place in terms of automation.
That's great. And I wanted to also check with Eric, with you and Tigo, because you do operate nationally and have access operations, so you have the perspective of an operator that's in the market. So for you, it's talking to peers and seeing what they can do to automate. Are there any particular thoughts or messages on what you can do for them to benefit?
Yes, for me, this is a double battle in two directions. The first direction is internally, because we have, again, many networks in the region, and putting together everything to provide a single solution for a customer is a big challenge in terms of BSS, OSSs, different brands of equipment, different life cycles, legacy, new. There's a lot of stuff to put together. So for me, the standardization and the automation, the path that we have taken has helped us to be more effective in being able to put together quick solutions and respond quickly, be agile, and in one side of the house, but also being able to support the post-sale platforms that we sell. That's one thing. The other thing is the relationship buying and selling with our partners. Again, if we want to sell, we need to put together solutions across the region. So the standardization path opens a clear roadmap for investments to focus on the right problems and trying to fix the right gaps and being able to move quickly in the marketplace, I would say.
That's an interesting perspective. So it's not just the adopting MEF for the purposes of APIs and interconnectivity, it's also adopting it to understand the scope of where to invest, what the problems are, and how to resolve them.
Exactly.
Okay.
A lot of good points. I don't have a whole lot to add to it, but I think to Juan Carlos's point, it all starts with the internal automation, and that's a difficult business case to make because you deal with hidden operational costs. They're there, but they're absorbed in a bigger total. You deal with sunk investments, and we're still going through that ourselves as well, but we try to share that knowledge with partners that we work with. Hey, is this the same for you? Then you can also find a significant cost saving if you operate in this way. And on the other hand, what we also try to stimulate, this with our partners by offering commercial incentives. In some cases, we have better payment terms for a partner that's more automated, simply because we know that in the long run, that's a more efficient model for us. So it's a lower cost model as well. So it's kind of the carrot and stick approach.
Great. And I'm going to go a little bit playing on the thoughts here and look at kind of can you maybe give a little bit about what the service experience looks like with the partners that have adopted MEF, and kind of contrast that with some of the partners where you're still working manually, and how you kind of manage to make both of those, what the difference is in experience and how you can maybe improve the experiences with the more developing non-MEF operator partners.
I can take that one.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I go back to the point that automation adoption in LATAM is very small. I mean, I will say that less than 1%. So it's not like we have the menu to choose. I'm gonna work with you and not with you. So it is a challenge, but it's all about scalability and how you can improve the customer experience by working with those partners. In our case, we look for companies that are very dynamic, flexible, that understand the cycle of the customer and that will contribute to that concept that we're building around automation. So even if they don't have an API, we work with them in a dynamic way. We remove all the bottlenecks from the commercial process by having our own pricing engine in the platform. But then when we go into the installation process, the whole customer experience, we have to work closely with those partners. So it's all about having that close interaction, a strategic partnership with them, and also using our own case as a educated example of the possibility that they can accomplish if they embrace our model. Again, what I was mentioning before, it's not sustainable in time to be working like that, automating other people's network, because at the end, it's going to get to a point that you don't have updated data. So, and it's all about the reliable data that you're presenting to the customer. So I think this is a good beginning for the region, especially with the council that we're launching in MEF. I believe all the companies in here are part of the council. And that's what we are aiming to work together, to how us has top to bottom, we can influence the region and help our partners locally in the countries to embrace automation, embrace API, and understand the technology, bring them into MEF, and understanding the possibilities.
And Eric, I suspect that part of what you're doing with MEF is because Tigo has numerous operating entities. Part of the journey is to standardize your different operating entities so that they can work together with each other as well as with other partners.
That is correct. We have done a lot of work in automation, especially in performance support, ticket opening, all the internal functions to support our customers. That's I would say, our main strength. We are capable to provide different types of interfaces to the customer so they can have real-time data of what the performance of their services are. Right now we're putting our strength into the selling and buying side of the house. We did several APIs custom made for different companies, several of our customers, and we are at this point standardizing those APIs for the future to come.
Great. And Jorge, I don't know if you'd like to comment also on the idea of the differences between working with MEF partners and non-MEF partners and how to kind of bridge some of those gaps.
Yeah, sure. Like Jeremy mentioned before, and Eric now, as we had to handle a lot of companies that unfortunately are not in the level that we pretend to be, just plug and play interacting with us. So we transform like a partner in innovation with those companies. It's not a selling and it's not commercial agreement. It's try to be together in this path. So if this company, for example, doesn't have the opportunity, we just translate, move all the information locally and continue working in a dynamic way. So the API is the best method to transmit, exchange those data. So I guess we are in early deployment as a region about APIs as a method to communicate those. And we reinforce, as Jeremy mentioned before with the council, we reinforce and stay back to help any other one that's maybe is coming and the onboarding of this process. So the intention is, as a community all together, we obtain the best result. You can compete in other things. All the companies here is competing for the market, and this is the right way. But your investment is not an API. It's benefit for the commercial point of view is not that. So you have to resolve those interconnection, that communication, in order to improve the flow of those information, right? So I guess we are in the better position in history as a community in terms of the technology.
Great. Juan Carlos?
Oh, I just first of all, I want to start before I answer the question that as Ufinet, the thing that actually drive us, it was the same thing as Tigo. We have a whole network. We needed to work as one, in order to put value to the network. So the only way to do this is to standardize, the network, to have an homogeneous network in order to deliver the same service in all the countries. That actually is our promise, to deliver the same service in all the countries that we are. Saying that, I think that the key is to know actually who your customer wants, because in Ufinet, and especially in Latin America, there are several types of customers. One of them will demand automatization, will demand integration, are willing to do it. So for those, you have to be prepared, you have to have your network prepared, and you can only work with partners that actually are prepared in order to deliver that. But there are another customer that actually just do not demand that. So the key is to know your customer in order to know who to work with.
Great. And Reinier, finally, speaking of many national operators, it's one of Liberty's presence in the Caribbean makes it, again, I suspect, a model where you're doing MEF standards in part to integrate all of the national operators that you have.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. For us, that's a key thing. We deal with a region where I think compared to North America and Europe, the cost of talent is at a more affordable rate. So you can make the case to just throw more people at it for some time, but there's a limit to it. And that's what we're seeing now. For us, that's a key item, the national operator interoperability. We also believe that we want to be ahead of the game, and I think that's the point that Jeremy made with the LATAM Council. I mean, we see the first requirements come up from especially multinational corporations where they're asking for this kind of automation, and we'd like to be driving it as opposed to being on the receiving end of a whole bunch of requirements. So I think now is the right time. The moment you wait too long, you push that business case ahead, it's going to be a hygiene factor, and that's a situation we want to avoid.
Great. And then I see we only have a few minutes left, so for the lightning round, I'd like to just conclude by asking what you have on your roadmap in kind of the near to midterm to become a more agile service provider and service provider partner to your wholesale partners. And Juan Carlos, can we start with you, with Ufinet?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, right now in Ufinet, inside Ufinet, we are ready. We have a standard process. We have automated process in all the areas, within the areas. So the next step, that is actually that we are working right now, is to go external. Because, like I said before, you have to be ready inside, because there is no worth it to have an automated process with your external customer if at the end, when the order is going to go to your company, everything is going to be manual. So right now that we have done that in Ufinet in the past year, we are prepared, and the future is to go external. Actually, that's what we are working right now. Right now we are Sonata certified. We are starting integrating with some of our customers. We are launching the web portal in order to that kind of service to the customers that are not willing to integrate. I think that's our future. I mean, the future is automatization, the standard, and I think that here MEF is going to play a key role, as it did with the carrier Ethernet standards.
Great. And Jorge,
I can mention 3 pillars from Cirion, from the next steps. Maybe the first one is we are the evolution of the product catalog, aligning 100% with the team forum. So we are translating and moving all to the new schemas, for example. So as was mentioned in the last couple of days, this is the key part, the starting key part for maintain this common language in all the process between your company and other entities. The other pillar is continue investment in the APIs development, because you have to extend your support. As we mentioned again here, not all the companies are ready to awarding the MEF framework. So the idea is not leave anybody outside of this cycle. And the third one is we starting maybe in the end of this year, but formally in 2024, a program to include new companies, like evangelize the use of MEF in the region. So the point is to start new conversations one-to-one with technical people in other companies, and trying to transmit the feeling that they are not alone in this, and it's more easy than maybe they can see in the webpage. That's all.
Okay. And Eric?
Well, we are continuing our automation roadmap. We are aggressively transforming our ad hoc APIs into MEF. We are also closing gaps internally, because it's not just the matter of the API by itself. It's a matter of the API interacting with all these OSS and DSS components. So we're closing gaps there, and most importantly, we're trying to, or looking forward to capitalize all the technology assets that we have. We have so many strengths that become more important with the MEF framework?
Great.
On our side, we're looking into two primarily directions. We already have an automated experience for our customers. Quoting, installation, monitoring of the services, and tech support is done through a single interface. Now we're going into the back and working on the service quality verification, service assurance. We're heavily investing in blockchain to automate that portion of the business, to provide higher confidence to the customers in terms of the quality of services that we can provide. That's part of the work that we're doing in Wolftown, in the accelerator that we presented yesterday. That's a huge part of what we're aiming to achieve in the midterm. We also have a blockchain internally that we are working for this, and also, last but not least, automation adoption. That's a big part for us in the region.
Thank you. And Reinier, you have the last word.
Very good, very quick. So we have an overall program with two roadmaps. One is focused on the external automation. We're still at the beginning of the journey, but we expect to have a first set of LSO APIs live by the end of this year. It's getting tight, but that's still the ambition. Internal roadmap, as the colleagues mentioned, it's a complicated, detailed journey that we're on, where we constantly take more steps. I think it's going to be for a very long time a semi-manual process, but we're making steps towards automating that part as well. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work ahead.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the distinguished panelists, and thank you all in the audience for your time and attention. And that concludes this panel. Have a good afternoon.